Wisconsin one more time here, this
score
time
is
on Typhon Peaks.
1-1. Who's going to take the lead here? It's only going to be one of them unless we have some sort of draw situation. There can only be one.
There can be only one. College here at the CES Invitational 2011. So, yes, guys, Cat's Pajamas and Wolf here, broadcasting the Collegiate Esports Series League Invitational. You can find out their website at cesleague.com. So down here in the bottom right-hand corner of Typhon Peaks, we have our red Zerg player, BROvega, representative of University of Cincinnati. His opponent down here at the bottom left-hand corner is FGiSignals, our blue Protoss player and member of Wisconsin. So FGiSignals and BROvega, two Masters level players. There's the GL and the HF. Apparently more luck than fun wanting there out of FGiSignals, but that's okay. So,
yeah, sometimes you get those people on the ladder who are just like, they just say have fun, but they're like, no luck to you.
I always throw out the BLDHF, so that's pretty standard for Cat's Pajamas. Let's see here.
We do have a pylon on the high ground, so that, of course that means that it's not going to be any sort of fast expanding shenanigans. As we talked about, it's really, really hard to do that on this map. It's hard to kind of wall off. It's not as hard as a map like Xel'Naga Caverns per se, but it's still relatively difficult to wall off. So we are not going to see a fast expansion from our Protoss player. As far as our Zerg player goes, everything's pretty normal. We're going to see a decision out of him really soon whether or not he's going to go for a hatchery first. Hatchery first, really, really common on this map. The probe has gone out to scout. He's going to see his opponent's not top left, and now the Zerg player is going to know if he's got a really good knowledge of timing, he's going to know, okay, we're not at close positions vertically. May want to hatch first, but he is going to go for a gas-oriented build, getting that extractor right now. And a Speedling Expend is also a really good build on this map because the Speedlings, the map is so large, there's a lot of different corridors. Getting those Speedlings out can really control the map quite easily. Yeah, he's going to take a little bit, like you said, it's going to provide him good early game map control. It's going to be able to play a little bit more defensively before he gets up his expansion, sacrificing a little economy to do that, but it looks like he is fine with taking the risk. Now sending out that drone scout, and the probe and drone do pass each other. We actually have dual probe scouts going out at this time. There is a gateway coming up, no forge or anything like that, but there are indeed dual probe scouts. One about ready to make his way into BROvega's base. So here comes FGiSignals now with his probe. That Overlord has not seen his opponent quite yet. It'll get there eventually. It takes about 1 billion years for that Overlord to cross. And let's see, spawning pool just about to finish. Is he going to block the hatchery
with some with a bunch of gas there for that Zergling speed?
Yeah, it is, and he's actually going to try to block a hatchery that he's not sure if it's coming or not. But the Zerg player is just going to do the good drone patrol next to the ramp to make sure there's no sort of cannon contains. Now the Overlord is positioned nicely to scout that base, but he's just going to save it for later, which is really smart. It's actually a really good tip if you're a Zerg player and you know that there's a possibility you can scout with your Overlord and you've got a drone out already. Save the Overlord. Don't send it in there. That way you can always have that there where you can always go and scout later. Right. So there is about 50 chrono energy saved up here, so we're probably going to see a chrono boost on both the Stalker and the Warp Gate research here out of FGiSignals. It's a really, really common thing to see. Get that Warp Gate research out, get that Stalker out really fast. And the pylon, he actually blocked the hatchery with the pylon there. And it looks like he will probably cancel that.
Yeah, and
indeed he does, canceling it there the last second.
If you take a look now, there's actually a Sentry coming out. So Sentry coming out, and Warp Gate technology not even being researched.
Yeah, he's really got to make sure he notices that that's not being researched, because that is one of those things that can end the game for you so fast if you forget. Second gas is going down for him right now.
But it does look like we're probably going to incline towards a relative fast expand here. This could even just be a 1-gate fast expand, as he does have a number of resources saved up at the moment. No, there's actually Warp Gates number 2 and number 3 at the moment, so probably a more traditional 3-gate fast expand behind a lot of Sentries and Zealots.
Yeah, it's gonna be that style that really got popular on the EU server, and then people started using it. In Control uses it. I don't know if you guys watch his stream or watch his games against Protoss and tournaments. He uses it almost every single game in this matchup, and he's actually popularized it quite a bit. So it's a really, really common choice to go for, and I think it's a relatively strong build to do on this map. You just have to have good building placement, like I said, because the natural can be relatively wide, and when the upgraded roaches roll in, speaking of which, the Roach Warren just now finishing up for Vega. So when those roaches roll in, it can be relatively hard to defend. A probe gets in, though, and sees the Roach Warren, and Vega got to be a little bit upset about that.
Yeah, and that Roach Warren is given away now, so it looks like, what do we have? Gateways 2 and 3 coming up now for FGiSignals, and he's going right into Stalkers. There is a Stalker now following this build at the moment. Let's see, Warp Gate technology is about, 3/4 of the way done, and immediately following this with a Forge. So I don't think we're going to see any sort of expansion coming out now. I think that this is just going to be a one-base attack and try and defend against an inevitable Roach push here.
Well, the thing about getting the Forge is if you make it inside of your base, it kind of does indicate it's almost like I want to do a timing attack, I want to hit you hard, or I want to get those upgrades out for my units early. And if you make the forge on the lower ground and start walling with it, that kind of indicates an expand. But I think we are going to see an expansion. A really weird choice, though, to make the forge on the high ground, because it does kind of like, it tricks you. It makes you feel like, oh, maybe he is going to try to go for a timing attack rather than expanding. So we'll have to wait and see. The warp gates are done. The forge is done as well. Is he going to upgrade immediately here? It looks like he's selected it, but he's going to make the Nexus first. Smarter choice. The Zergling, though, might actually catch the probe before he makes the Nexus.
And it looks like he is. That probe could go down here pretty quickly, but FGiSignals running it with the rest of his units, warping in some more Stalkers as well. Still saving up a lot of resources at this time, but there's the pylon, and this is going to be the Nexus quickly following after that. Here comes the probe one more time. I'm not really sure what he's waiting for at this point, but I guess he's going to drop that in just a second after he gets out this next Sentry and Stalker. Back on his opponent's side of things, BROvega does have up just a couple of queens, just 2 queens, producing a lot of Zerglings. Has not nearly gone forward that much creeps for it, because it looks like he's going to attack right now. He has a huge amount of roaches moving out.
And 14 more Zerglings on the way, so he's going to have a huge reinforcing attack here. There are several sentries that have enough energy for about, I'd say, 10 force fields. So he's probably going to try to force those force fields with these Zerglings, try to attack the Nexus a little bit. Once all the force fields are gone, though, these roaches are going to do so much damage. There aren't that many Stalkers out. And the Speedlings are going to flank from the back and attack the Nexus. And here come the roaches. The roaches are already on top of the sentries. Not good reaction timing there by Signals, but he does force field around his entire army, making it difficult for the Zerglings to come in. But I think it may be too much with these roaches.
And so the roaches are going to be able to finish off the rest of those sentries, targeting them down nicely. All of the zealots going down before they even warp in now. Oh, nice force shield down at the bottom of the ramp, though. And so FGiSignals is going to be able to temporarily hold this off. Does he have another force shield ready to go? I don't think he does, as a matter of fact. So right now that sentry is, oh, he actually has enough for another force shield right now. More sentries being warped in, but here come the rest of the roaches.
Oh.
And the roaches are doing so much damage right now, going after the Stalkers, very first of all. But now a lot of structures are going to fall. These sentries taking a ton of damage. There are some desperate photon cannons going up, but BROvega has already done so much damage at this point. His opponent down to now 36 supply.
Yeah, he's so far behind. He's got less than half the supply of his opponent. He will hold this off. He is going to lose all of these roaches, but they're taking out those expensive Stalkers, those expensive sentries. Did some nice traps with the sentries, and actually, Vega wants to break him right now. I'm not sure if he should be doing this.
No.
He's losing a lot of roaches here. It does back away, though, and he does have a 25 supply lead. Does have a hatchery, whereas the Protoss player is not going to be expanding anytime soon. So our Protoss player, Signals, here is now finding himself in a really tough spot where he's going to have to spend almost all of his gas on sentries to defend, and he's not going to be able to tech up very easily, and he's not going to really have the economy to support anything big like Colossi or Void Rays.
Yeah, and it looks like Vega was thinking about pushing in there again for just a second, but he is droning up now. He is going to layer tech. He has a bunch of Overlords sitting around the bottom of his base, which is kind of cool. But BROvega just kind of gearing up, ready to push in when the time comes. Looks like he's just going to opt for a contain here, force FGiSignals to move out, and a bunch of units do take out that spotter probe. So FGiSignals has no way to break this contain.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way. He doesn't have enough force field energy to stop the Speedlings from surrounding. If the Speedlings get around, everything's going to die basically instantly. The roaches are going to do a ton of damage. Evolution chamber being made right now for Vega, so he's playing it very smart. He's not trying to take a third base. He's not going to get caught off guard. He wants to make sure his opponent's completely contained before doing so. He's getting that evolution chamber just to be safe. You know, when a build like this fails, when you can't expand, sometimes DTs come out, everything, so he's got to be very careful getting the layer, getting that evolution chamber up.
Definitely.
Being very, very smart. He does poke up the ramp even to see the composition. And this probe is going to desperately try to make a Nexus, but we all know how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, so the probe now walking around to the back. It did successfully slip past the units there of BROvega. Looks like he is going to drop down a pylon here at the front, and Overlord getting its way into the base. It only sees a couple of gateways and a bunch of Stalkers, but here come the rest of the units now. The Zerglings getting around, those force shields stopping some of those roaches, but really those roaches are still attacking a ton of units, and FGiSignals has lost most of his zealot power, and there's these roaches are going to be able to walk through that sentry and a couple of Stalkers with relative ease. BROvega not moving up the rest of his units, now finally moving down. Ooh, FGiSignals has a bunch of Stalkers, so how much damage is he going to be able to do? A lot of units going down. Let's actually toggle the hit points here, and the Stalkers going down pretty quickly, but
nice
really,
roach
BROvega,
micro, pulls back all the weakened roaches.
He has to watch out for those zealots. As a zealot walking in doing a lot of damage, and it looks like FGiSignals is going to be able to break this, but you know, he hasn't even started his second base. His opponent, BROvega, going to a third. He has all those upgrades on the way, burrow and tunneling claws, and Zerg missile attacks level 1 being researched at the same time.
Yeah, so what we're basically going to see here suddenly is Vega going to come in with a bunch of burrowed roaches and attack this next Nexus where there's no detection. He doesn't have a robotics. He can't even afford to get one because of all the money he's spending on sentries right now. He is making that cannon smartly though, so that is going to give him a little bit of an edge. And it was a relatively nice hold. He did end up holding that. Vega made the right choice though, getting those upgrades rather than just pushing it, trying to force the win. And it's like the Artosis rule. That's what people are starting to call it. When you're ahead, get more ahead.
Yes.
+1 weapons for those Roaches finishing up right now. Roach speed start. He does have burrow and burrowed movement. As you said, those are being researched. Just increasing his Roach count right now. He's got a lot of drone saturation, so we can transfer some of those over to this third base that's just now finishing up. So he's got a huge lead, but our Pros player isn't necessarily out of it yet.
No, and I would expect it very soon, especially even if this coincides with +2 missile attacks or something like that. We're just going to see an obscene amount of Roaches start now. Looks like he is actually going to a Hydralisk Den at the same time, so a Hydra Den coming up. His opponent is going to a robotics facility, so I mean the possibility for some Immortals or Colossus is there, but it's going to take such a huge amount of time. And right now, FGiSignals just can't commit that much money to it. He's got to get up units. He's got to be able to deflect the inevitable attack that's going to be coming out of his Zerg opponent here pretty soon.
Exactly. Now, that's one of those things. It's just, you know, he's making the Hydras. It's a really smart choice. You might be thinking, some of you guys watching might be going, well, what if he goes Colossi? You know, he's got the robotics making. The robotics is so late, though, and if he makes any Colossi, it's going to be like 1 before those Hydras get out and before they start attacking, because the thing is, he's just so far behind, he doesn't have the gas, he's not got a lot of gas banked up. Basically, he has to use all his gas to make sentries to make sure he doesn't die. So making those Colossi is going to be very, very difficult. It's very expensive. He has to get an Observer out, things like that. So the Colossi are not going to be a huge threat, so I really like the Hydralisk choice. He is getting +2 missile attacks like you were mentioning earlier, and that timing is going to be really nice with the Hydras that are going to pop out, and things are just going to get really, really dirty because the Pro player does not really have any upgrades to speak of.
No.
Despite having that forge earlier on.
Right, exactly, but that's only being used for defensive photon cannons right now. He didn't really move that in. Had this really weird timing where he tried to put up another base before he was attacked and things like that. Spent the money on that forge and just really hasn't done anything with it. BROvega going to move up. Has a huge amount of units now. I mean, this is an obscene amount of Roaches that are crawling through the middle. In addition, he's got a ton of Hydralisks that are being queued up as well.
And the Observer is floating away from the Roaches, so if they snipe these cannons, they will be able to have free reign over this army. Nice force fields here, trying to block some of those Roaches out, and actually hurting more than helping, though, as the Roaches retreat. And I don't think Vega wants to engage here, but he might try to force it. He does have some really good upgrades. I think he's going to wait for +2 to finish. It's almost done.
And so right now, yeah, +2 is about to finish here in about 5 seconds. There is also a Spire on the way, so potential for some late game tech coming out here in the FGiSignals. Wants to actually force the issue. Push. He's going to move out now, so FGiSignals is positioning his Zealots and Sentries ahead. Right now, BROvega pulling back to his Hydralisk and then decides, yes, I want to move in now. So there it goes. The Zealots going down so quickly. Oh, no Observer up, and all of these units just tunneling through. Right now, FGiSignals pulling back to his Photon Cannons. That's about the best he can hope for, but these units going down so quickly. This Immortal doing quite a bit of damage, admittedly, but it's starting to be targeted. Now the rest of the Roaches are moving forward. They're taking down so many units. There goes down the Immortal, and here the rest of the units are going to follow as well.
These units have +2 attack. There's just no way he can hold it. Cannons falling extremely quickly here. The Robotics actually trying to make another Immortal, but we all know how that story is going to end. GG.
There's the GG. So BROvega taking yet another game for University of Cincinnati, playing very well here on this map on Typhon Peaks. So guys, thank you again for joining us. This is Casper Jamis here alongside Wolf. We are broadcasting at the Collegiate Esports Series Invitational.
There's some cheers for Vega going on.
Cheers for the crowd. So yeah, as you guys can tell, we are on quite the delayed stream, but that's okay. So
that means there's no cheating. Absolutely not.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, we're in this like cool little corridor where we're looking out at the rest of the crowd there. So hello, rest of the crowd. How are you guys doing today? But anyway, yeah, they're going to see that wave now in about 35 seconds. But anyway, so guys, yeah, the Collegiate Esports Series Invitational here in Indianapolis, Indiana. If you guys are in the area, we are at the Stutz Business Center on 1060 North Capitol Drive. So guys, do feel free to check us out. I'm Casper Pajamas. You can find me on.
There's the crowd.
Yeah, there it is. So we'll just wave again so that hopefully they see us this time. But hi guys. Okay, anyway. So yeah, 1060 North Capitol Drive. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/CasperJamasSC2 and Wolf at twitter.com/Wolf_Schroeder. So.
And also JP will be casting with us later at ItMeJP. Also go to CESLeague.com.